The darkness seemed thicker now that Elias had switched off the torch, an impossibly heavy veil that clung to his eyelashes and slid down his throat with every breath. Yet he didn't need light to see. The symbol glowed inside his mind like an afterimage burned into the soul, illuminating the hallway not with color, but with awareness. The faces in the wall, those silent, suffocating masks, twitched. Not all at once. Just one. The mouth of a young man at the far corner opened slightly wider, as though taking a first, shallow breath after years of drowning. Elias froze, feeling the stillness in his bones. The dust in the hallway lifted, not from any breeze, but from the slow, deliberate inhale of the building itself. A structure shouldn't breathe, but this place was no longer a structure. It was remembering, and its memory had reached him. His heartbeat thudded, 1, 2, then stumbled out of rhythm. The room hummed softly, almost soothing, like something unseen was trying to coax his heart back into sync with its own. The whisper echoed again, this time behind his left ear. "You never left." Elias spun around. Nobody, only the curved shadow of the hallway behind him, stretching and bending like a spine. He pressed a hand to the wall. It felt warm, warmer than skin, and wet as though blood flowed just beneath the plaster. When he pulled his hand away, thin strands adhered to his fingers, stretching like connective tissue before snapping. His breathing quickened. "This place is reacting," he whispered. "But to what? My presence, or my memory?" His own voice sounded distant, muffled by the thick air. The faces in the wall shifted again. This time, all at once. Their eyes snapped open, hundreds of pupils rolling toward him in unison, their mouths widening in silent screams. The movement wasn't frantic or chaotic. It was synchronized, like a choir of flesh taking its first note. Elias stumbled backward, tripping over a piece of fallen concrete. When he hit the floor, the ground rippled beneath him, soft, pliable, warm. Like muscle, his pulse hammered, and the walls responded, pulsing back in perfect rhythm. He crawled backward until he reached the rusted arch, the twisted doorway the hero had once described as a wound in the world. The symbol above it flared bright red, leaking thin streams of light that dripped like blood. The ground trembled with a low, subsonic hum, less a sound and more feeling in the bones. The faces inhaled, and then they spoke, not with voices, but with the vibration of the world around him. Elias Ward. His name shook the dust from the ceiling. "Why me?" he whispered. And the answer came instantly, whispered by 1,000 mouths without opening. "Because you remember." The hallway convulsed. The floor beneath Elias softened like tissue soaked in fluid. He scrambled to his feet, but his boots sank as though into mud. He pulled himself free, stumbling toward the arch, but the symbol above it flared again, sealing the threshold with a sheet of red light. He was trapped. From a far end of the corridor, something stepped forward, its outline faint but unmistakably human. A man. The shape walked slowly, impossibly calm. Its footsteps made no sound. Elias squinted into the dark, adjusting to the faint glow from the walls. The figure stopped several feet away. Elias's breath caught. It was him. Not just similar, identical. Same height, same posture, same trembling breath. The face, however, was hollow, literally. Too deep. Black pits where eyes should have been, as though sight itself had been scooped out. The hollow duplicate tilted its head, mirroring Elias perfectly. "What are you?" Elias whispered. The duplicate opened its mouth, revealing a throat that pulsed like a second heartbeat. "You," it said, but without moving its lips. The voice came from inside Elias's head. He stumbled backward, pressing against the warm, pulsing wall. Images slammed into his mind, memories he had never lived yet somehow recognized. A child standing before a mirror, crying as a reflection smiled back. A surgeon performing an autopsy while the corpse observed its own body from the reflection of a metal tray. A man drowning in a lake as a second version of him walked calmly across the surface of the water. The ninth door didn't create echoes. It collected them. "Are you my memory?" Elias choked out. The duplicate stepped closer. "No," it said. "You are mine." Elias felt something tug inside his chest, like a hook embedded in his soul. The duplicate raised a hand, and the walls behind it peeled open like a pair of fleshy curtains, revealing a chamber pulsing with red light. Inside, countless versions of Elias stared back, some whole, some distorted, some with symbols carved into their skin. They stood silently behind the duplicate, as though waiting in an audience. His stomach churned. This isn't real. The duplicate smiled, a slow, skin-tightening stretch. This is more real than you. Something snapped inside Elias. Fear, reason, everything. He bolted down the hallway, scraping his shoulder against the pulsing wall. The faces shrieked silently again, their mouths stretching impossibly wide as if calling after him. The ground pitched and rolled beneath his feet, trying to trip him. The building wanted him back. As he reached the far door, the entire hallway contracted like a throat swallowing. The archway sealed, closing itself with a wet, meaty sound. Elias slammed his fist against it. No use. The whisper returned, closer than ever. Don't run from yourself. He spun, desperate. The duplicate stepped out of the flesh chamber, its movements now smooth, liquid. The other Elias figures inside the chamber pressed against the fleshy membrane, their hands merging into the surface. The duplicate reached him. Elias kicked, punched. His hands passed through the figure like smoke. But when the figure touched him, it felt solid, painfully solid. Its fingers wrapped around his jaw, and he felt memory drain from him. His childhood, his mother's face, his own name. No, N.O. Elias screamed. He grabbed the glowing recorder from his pocket and smashed it against the duplicate's head. The symbol carved on its casing burst with sudden heat. A shockwave of red light rippled outward. The duplicate recoiled, shrieking in a voice that rattled Elias's bones. The hole convulsed violently. Cracks tore across the walls. Real cracks, not organic ones. Dust fell. The pulse stuttered. The ninth door was destabilizing. Elias sprinted again, this time toward the opposite end, a collapsed stairwell that led deeper into the asylum. The flesh floor tried to grab his legs, forming tendrils that lashed around his ankles. But he tore free. Behind him, the duplicate screamed, "You belong to U.S." Elias dove through the broken stairwell, sliding down a slope of rubble. Stones cut into his hands, tearing through his gloves. He landed hard in a lower chamber, one he hadn't seen on any blueprint. It was circular, silent, dead, no pulse. The walls here were stone, not flesh, and covered with ancient carvings. The symbol repeated hundreds of times, forming spirals, chains, and diagrams resembling embryonic forms. At the center sat a pedestal, and on it a small, bone-like object shaped like a key. Elias approached it slowly, heart racing. The air here felt different, dry, cold, almost sterile, like a tomb untouched by whatever had infected the upper floors. A whisper formed behind him, not hostile this time, not hungry, just tired. Elias. He toned. Clara stood at the edge of the chamber, her torn Victorian gown swaying gently, though there was no breeze. Her one remaining eye glowed softly, but her expression was different. Not monstrous, not hollow, just sad. "You're not supposed to be here yet," she said softly. Elias stared at her. "What is this room?" "The first memory," Clara whispered, "before the pulse learned to dream." She stepped toward the pedestal. "That key doesn't open a door. It closes one." Elias felt a chill crawl up his spine. "The ninth door?" he asked. Clara nodded. "You can seal it," she whispered. "You can stop the pulse from taking you. But you must choose now. Once you hold it, you won't be able to return." Her voice cracked. "Not to them. Not to us. Not to the world above." Elias felt the universe tilt inside him. "Why me?" he whispered again, voice breaking. Clara met his eyes. "Because you are the only one who can remember without becoming." The building groaned above them. The duplicate screamed distantly. The pulse shuddered, searching. Elias reached out a trembling hand. Touching the bone key sent a cold shiver through his body, like ice water flowing through his veins. The symbol inside his mind flickered. Clara stepped back, trembling. "You've started the choice." The chamber walls began to vibrate, stone turning soft, soft turning warm. The pulse had found him. Clara whispered, "Decide, Elias. Seal it, or join it." The key grew hot in his palm. The walls above split open. The duplicate dropped into the chamber, landing on all fours like a starving animal, its hollow eyes blazing. Elias lifted the key. The duplicate lunged. The walls screamed. Clara shouted, "Now, Elias, choose." And the ninth door opened.